listening to the Career Plus Life Catch-Up, episode number 63. Welcome to the Career Plus Life Catch-Up, a show anchored in reality to help you create a balanced life where you enjoy both your work and your life, because you don't have to choose. I am your host, Cecile Ferry, a corporate executive turned coach and working mom. This is your place for insights, advice, and tools to optimize your career direction, balance, and confidence. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get into it. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the podcast today. Thank you for tuning in. So I'm recording this, and I'm glad to say that I'm finally feeling better after weeks of dragging some of those COVID symptoms. And I was actually thinking it's in line with today's topic because I was holding on for too long, not feeling great. So I got it finally checked out and got some more treatment for my chest, and life just changed. I got so much more energy. So it's been good now. I'm feeling more like myself and I can tackle everything that's happening. It's been a good mix of things on all fronts at home with work and clients and my daughter acting up. Don't I love her? And we've got school holidays now starting in Melbourne. And after those 2 weeks, a bit more work, and then I am heading off overseas to see my family. So I'm starting to count down. It has been 3 years, and I'm really looking forward to that. But I'm going to be here for this podcast and hopefully one more before I go. So today, I was inspired to talk about when to let it go versus when to hold on. And this is going to sound quite generic, but I'm going to give you some concrete examples. But I want this to apply to anything that's going on in your life right now. And it could be something small and it could be something pretty big. Obviously, the big stuff needs some time and care and probably, dare I say, one-on-one coaching support to make the right decision, but that is up to you. It could be happening in your professional life, it could be happening in your personal life, but basically I'm talking about a situation that is tough for you. Some kind of a problem, a dilemma where your needs are not met or the objectives that you have are out of sight. Basically, you're dissatisfied, you may be frustrated, like there are some emotions sitting there. And you are wondering what to do. And it's that crossroad. Should I let it go or should I hold on? And I know us women, on top of that, we add a layer like we judge our decision. We're like, I don't want to be making the wrong decision. So we've got that additional pressure. Not only we have to decide, but then we have to live with the decision and not regret it or feel like we've made the wrong one. So it's a double-edged sword for us. So today I want to give you some thought pointers, like a bit of self-coaching to help you start to really think it through and feel through those two different aspects to help you navigate the decision. And I'll share about my experience because I am really qualified to talk about that. I have a strong tendency to hold on for too long. I am not that good at letting go when probably I should, because I let fear drive the bus. I'm often scared of the unknown and I tend to hold on because what I know, even if it's painful, seems more manageable than what I don't know, and letting it go seems like way more scary for me. I tend to hold on for too long. I did it in my life, for instance, in my romantic relationship where I stayed in it for 15 years when honestly it had run its course before that, but I took a very long time to let it go, to realize that, to accept that, and to make my decision. But again, with relationships, it's quite tricky. You don't want to make a decision overnight. Also, when I was staying too long in my corporate job, and it did cost me to stay on too long when I had my burnout, I now realize in hindsight, all those instances when I was holding on too long, I had something better come along when eventually I let go. And the thing is, sometimes when we hold on too long, we're forced to let go. I'll talk about that today. But also, it could be the opposite. Like some of us may be giving up, if I say so, like letting go too soon instead of holding on. And then that way we miss out on opportunities, we miss out on some learning, and the problem just keeps happening somewhere else until we learn how to address it and to overcome it. So I'm not going to say one is better than the other, not at all, but I'm here to help you navigate the decision. And I know in particular, we are in a culture that praises the holding on bit, and letting go gets a pretty bad rap, okay? It's like, well, you're giving up. It looks weak, right? It sounds like you're avoiding things or you have failed, really. So letting go isn't cool in our culture. If you ask anyone, they will tell you to toughen it out, to hold on. Like, that is what is glorified everywhere. And thank goodness now we're starting to see more people being authentic and coming up and saying, I have those flaws, I have those weaknesses, I am struggling here. But on social media, no one is letting it go. Everyone is holding on and showing the bright side of life. So I'm aware that culturally we set up against, having that right balance and being able to decide, depending on the circumstances, what is better for us. So I'm going to give you some tools to think about your own situation so that you can see clearly, feel into it, and hopefully start moving in the right direction. Are you ready, people? Let's get into it. Okay, so first things first, you need to take a step back. First step, you actually need to do nothing, because you need to be in the right condition, in the right frame of mind in order to know whether you should let go or hold on. And you really, hear me on this, cannot make a good decision when your mind isn't in the right place or when your body isn't in the right place either. So what that means is essentially you need to clear any emotions that may be simmering, that may be boiling hot right now, and you need to process them so that they are out of the way. Otherwise, they will clutter your judgment. What you don't want is you making those kind of decisions coming from a place where you are emotional, where you are hesitant, where you're feeling hurt, and especially when you've been feeling angry. So whatever has been going on that brought up this question, should I let it go? Should I hold on? Right? You need to complete the full emotional release cycle in order for you to then being able to make an informed, clear, and aligned decision with yourself. And that might take days, depending what it is. It might even take like weeks or months. I remember for my relationship, it took me month to get in the right place, right? And especially if you're having arguments with someone or it's at work and the tensions with your boss, like you need to let that sit and you don't want to be reacting in the heat of the moment or when the emotion is really heightened. And when you know that you're ready to make that call is when you feel in that neutral place. You're not activated. Your nervous system isn't like running really high. You're basically able to sleep well at night. It's not eating at you. It's not chewing your mind. You're not replaying things over and over. That's when you know you're ready to look at it, to make the right call for yourself. Likewise, you can't do this when you are feeling exhausted. So when your physical health isn't in the right place, not just your emotional and mental health, but the physical side of things. Or if you are so worn out to the point like of burnout, when you've pushed and pushed and pushed yourself, what happens is your brain becomes quite foggy. And even though you have a desire to sort things out and to probably let it go, then you're actually not even able to make the decision because your brain isn't fully able in a way. Because in other words, your brain is a bit disabled by the level of fatigue that you have, that you can't see clearly. And then you're going to be starting to overanalyze and you're going to get overwhelmed and you're just going to tumble down that rabbit hole and feel really stuck and feel even more exhausted as a result. So you first need to stop and wipe that slate a bit clean and take a big breather, have a break and restore to like good physical health level so you can function optimally in your mind. I mean, that anyway, you need it for your life in general. But the thing is, when we're in those really critical stages of burnout and fatigue, that's when we need the mental discernment on what to do. But however, that's usually is an impediment because we're not able to do that. So that's when we need external support usually that says to us, hey, you need to stop this and you're going to be okay. So let's bring all of that down. Let's calm everything down, and then you can breathe again, and then you start feeling more like yourself. So if that's you, I've done some episodes on burnout. The episode number 28 and 29 if you want to check them out, and I'll link them in the show note as well. So whatever may be going on concretely, taking a step back means you need to rest. You need to take a break. You need to step away from the source of the problem that may be going on so you can get some perspective. And you need to buy yourself some time to make a call. You really can't hurry that, even though it does feel urgent quite often for us to make the call so we can relieve the pressure that we feel to not know or to be constantly going in between. So we feel that urgency, but actually the process itself should not be hurried. And you need to cut yourself off from what I call the collective opinion. So that means your close people, your partners, your family members, your close friends, all the people that really have an opinion on what you should be doing. But in those instances, the only voice you should listen to is yours. And finally, you may need to really break the cycle of what you're doing in order to really take that distance, and sometimes literally it means changing physical environment. So you need to go somewhere, you need to take some fresh air, you really need to remove yourself from your normal scene in order to access that higher self, that inner knowing, and to make a really good decision for yourself. Okay, now in this section, we're going to discuss what to ask yourself. So in other words, I'm going to help you work out which side of the equation you should lean towards. In my view, after all my years of experience and working with lots of people, is that there is always one right answer, one right way. There is a path for us to take. And the question is, how do we find what it is? And I really believe we each have an inner compass, but it's about accessing that inner compass and asking yourself the right questions and then listening for the answer. And also, we're not really used to really tap into our intuition that way. We typically would research things online, we'll be asking people, we'll be asking professionals, and we'll be the last people to really ask and think that we have that resource. But trust me, it really is within you, and it comes down to how you are feeling. So let me ask you a couple of questions, and you can pause and write them down if you want to journal on those in your own situation right now. Okay, so my first and main question is, which of these two options feels freeing? Which one feels lighter? Which one feels like an opening? And just feel into that, because you will see one will feel like more like trapped and heavy, and the other one will feel lighter, will feel like opening up, will feel like it's freeing you. So really tune into that. And if you want to know more about that, I recommend you go and check out episode number 34, which talks about closing versus opening patterns. So you can go and explore more what it means. So first of all, get a feel in yourself and be open for the answer. Don't judge it and don't watch it, or don't try to control it and to make it what you think it should be. This is about gut reaction. Then another question that I love to use is this one. If you could have either, if you contemplate whatever the letting go is, whatever the holding on is, if you could have either, and if you knew that either of those things will turn out to be fine for you, they will work out, everything will be fine, you'll be happy either way, which one would you choose? And again, for this question, just tune in with just the exact gut reaction that comes to you. I really love this question. I think it's really powerful in helping us understand what we are naturally leaning towards and not let the limitations of the ego or of the inner critic stop us in our judgment. And then I've got a couple more questions for you. What would it mean about you if you let it go? Because often we don't want to let it go because we're trying to avoid something, or we're trying to protect ourselves from having to do something or having to feel a certain way. And that is a hard question, but it's really powerful. Or another one is, why are you holding on? What is making you hold on? If you're being really honest with yourself, what are the drivers? What are the motives behind you holding on? And same deal, why are you thinking of letting it go if that's where you're leaning towards? Like, what do you think you're going to get out of it? What are you seeking? What are you trying to achieve? So basically, I want you to inspect all your reasons and to see if they feel good to you. So it's about going one level down. It's not about the letting go as such or the holding on. It's understanding what is your mind making up about either of those choices, and then understanding out of those two options which is a story and which is actually the truth. And typically, if you see your mind being quite caught up in a long argument, having long-rounded sentences and reasons and explanations and all of that, it will sound super credible and super rational, but it's usually the voice of the inner critic that just needs to argue and prove a point. When it feels like that, that is not the right choice for you, my friend. It is the right choice when it's quite simple. It's just not many words. It's just something that you just put out there, and it feels like there is no more conversation about it. You don't really need to argue back and forth. You don't need to control anything. It just is, if that makes sense. So that is the voice of your inner wisdom, of your intuition and your higher self. So let me give you some concrete example. For instance, if you're looking at a job situation, so look and ask yourself, what are the reasons why I might be letting go or holding on? So you may be holding on because you like the company, you like the career prospects, you like a certain mentor that you have there. These are all really good reasons to hold on. But if you're holding on because you're afraid not to find anything else, or you're afraid that people are going to have opinions and tell you that you should never have left this job, or if you're clinging on because of the salary and because you're just afraid you're not going to find that income somewhere else, right? These are not the same reason. They don't feel as good. And in those cases, you probably should not hold on. And also, when you're looking at letting it go in terms of your job, some of the reasons why you're looking at it is because your well-being is on the line, and there's a cost to you, even your mental health or your physical health, and a cost to your family potentially with the impact this is having. But likewise, if you want to let it go because you don't like a colleague and you feel resentful because you don't like your boss, or because you feel like you're putting all the hard work and you're not being recognized for it, like, these are not the same kind of reason. I hope you really can tell the difference in the vibration and the energy of the reasons. If it's coming from fear, if it's coming from lack, if it's coming from, that anxiety, that pulling constriction place, it's usually not a good decision to make. If it's coming from a place of honoring yourself, uplifting you, building you further, then it's always a yes and a good idea to let it go. And finally, I'm going to leave you with another question that I use a lot in my life when I'm stuck in those situations is, what would my best self do? So this is using the perspective of love versus fear. I heard that again in a podcast recently. These are the only two choices we really have all the time in life. It's always a version of fear or a version of love, right? And so I asked myself, what would love do? What would my best self, my best loving self do? And this is really something to sit with and to feel into for yourself, because that will be the truth. And it's always what is in the highest good for you and for other people too. So I really see that as being honest with yourself and seeing the writing on the wall, that truth for yourself. Once you see the writing on the wall, which is always right? Even if it's painful sometimes. But once you really see through that and feel through that, and once you know it's the truth, it will overpower your fears. You will take that brave action. You will let it go or you will hold on, right? Whichever way it is. Because you will have peace of mind. So you'll be ready to move on and you'll be ready to tackle any consequences that might come as a result of it because you know why and your why feels good. Okay, I hope you find those questions really useful and that you can think through your own situations. Before I let you go, I want to talk about 2 situations that are different, and in those situations I would recommend you always let it go or you always give up, so to speak, for a really good reason. So the first one is when the situation is affecting your well-being over time. So we're not just talking for a week or here or there. We're talking ongoingly, regular occurrences, patterns, things like that, where you are potentially working too much, you're overworking, you're overgiving, the demands on your energy and time are too great with everything else that is on your plate, right? Or you've been given unrealistic expectations and goals and you have to raise to levels that are incredible in order to deliver. That will have a cost to you, unfortunately. And any of us that have gone through burnout know this too well, because we can't just keep going and we have limitations. So when we hit those limits, that's when we need to let it go. We need to try first. We need to ask for things to be lowered, for things to be managed better so we can function. But however, sometimes it's not possible. So all I will say is you have a right to good health and you need to look after your needs first. I know it's not said enough out there, but without us, nothing else really gets done. So when your needs are consistently pushed down and walked over, and when you cannot be yourself and when it's affecting a lot of things in your life especially, you should always let it go. Like things that compromise your health, your mental health, your physical health, and potentially compromise your relationship and your life at home, for instance, are a big no-no. You will be better off 100% of the time, even if it feels fearful and uncertain. There is a better way to live and nothing should come in the way of that. And the second situation is when it is life redirecting you. And I love that. And you got to spot it. And I will tell you, that is when there is usually a series of events that happen to you. So not just one occurrence, but a pattern of things repeating themselves, or different events that apparently look unrelated, but actually they are related when you look closely. So those events I'm talking mostly, they're not great events. They're typically things that happen to you. They are misses, they are setbacks, they are failures, they are rabbit holes, like things that don't work out for you the way that you want. And as frustrating as what it is, I've also learned that this is a way for life to redirect us. So when those happen, it is imperative to realize and to stop and to let it go, because otherwise those things will keep happening. So this is different from just hitting a one-off block, right? Or being stuck in what I call fear-based resistance. You know, all the reasons where you want to hold on because you don't know how to do something or you're afraid. So this is fear-based resistance. Now here I'm talking about different things that are happening, but which all have one theme or one outcome in common. So look for the thread. Is there one? And sometimes it's hard to see it yourself when it's happening to you and you need someone external to see it. And I see it as a coach, and I remember my own coach saw it for me. ages ago when I was unhappy in my corporate job, but I was holding on when I should have been letting go. So life had a way to redirect me. But I remember bringing that to my coach's attention at the beginning of a session, saying, there's been all those things happening again and again. And she was curious. She was like, what sort of things? And I was like, they were all like different, unrelated things, apparently. And I told her that I forgot my laptop one day at home. I had to drive all the way back the minute I got to work to get it. Another day, I missed my plane to go to a work event interstate. There was just a series of events that made me miss the plane. And then another time, I had my daughter that was sick at home, so I couldn't work. And then I'd been sick myself at another time. So to me, it looked like just life, random events. But together, we connected the dots and we looked for the theme. And the theme or the outcome was, throughout all those events, one thing that happened was that I could not be at work. And there I understood, it clicked for me. That was life teaching me that I didn't want this job. It wasn't right for me and I had to let it go. I was kind of manifesting all the ways to point me in that direction. So life always has a way of redirecting us, of sending us a message. And if we don't see it clearly in the beginning, it will just get louder and louder, and events could just get more and more serious. But I'm not saying this happens to everybody, of course not. But if we are heading into a direction and we persist in it and that direction is not right for us, we will start seeing events happening. And we will be very well advised to ask ourselves, why is this happening? Why does this keep happening? What is in common here? Where is this leading to? And is there somewhere where I really need to let go of something? And you know what too? Once you let it go and things change, there is your ultimate proof that it was the right thing for you. So there you go, my friend. I have covered for you all the things to think about when you are in this situation and you're wondering, should I hold on to it? Should I let it go? I really hope you can use some of those tools, some of those questions to look at your own specific situation, feel into it, tell yourself the truth, feel those differences between what is fear-based and what is your intuition and your higher wisdom speaking, and you will know what feels freeing and what feels good, even if it is challenging. I'm not saying it's going to feel easy and joyful, but it's going to feel better. And until you have that clarity within you, do not jump, and make sure, as I said at the beginning, you take some distance and some space from the world out there in order to really feel between those two options. And so if you're there, if you're in that crossroad, I just want you to know there is a right answer for you, and you can feel into it and you have the answer. And as usual, if you do need an external perspective, I'm here and I can help you really quickly, whether it's in your career or in your life, through career or life coaching, and we can get to the bottom of things really quickly. Like, we can get to a decision for you within about one session. And I do this with clients. Like, I have clients that hold on to their jobs, and after one session, we get really clear on the decision, and then they resign, and so many things happen before even the second session, just because they have made the right decision for themselves. So that can be for you too, if that's where you are. I'll link in the show notes my website and how you can contact me and have a chat with me on how to work together. So I'm going to leave you to your week, and now I hope you have one more tool to make those really informed decisions in your life, and I hope things are going great in your world. Take care, everybody. I will speak with you soon. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to find out more information, you can visit my website at careercatchup.com. There you will find blog articles, free resources, a self-study course for your career direction, and ways to work with me. It's at careercatchup.com. I hope to continue to connect with you and support you. Talk to you soon.